30, 35 down the sidelines to the 40, makes a move to the 45, the 50, he's to the 40, he could go, he's to the 25, the 20, they dive at him, they miss him, he's in the end zone, touchdown!
Throws off his back foot, wide open man in the end zone, leaping grab, touchdown!
Launches the throw down toward the goal line, going up, ball tipped in the air, caught, touchdown!
Reverses his field, got a block from Pittman, going deep, got a man in the end zone, touchdown!
It's a man's game tonight now, you know that. Everybody watching tonight.
And now it's the Undefined Blitz with Chad and JC.
And welcome everybody once again to the Undefined Blitz right here on undefinedradio.com. How is everybody doing out there? We are doing great. It's a great weekend. It's a great weekend, especially a great Sunday night. An awesome Sunday night. We're going to talk about it. Maybe not so much a great Sunday if you're a Chiefs fan.
Or an Eagles fan.
Or an Eagles fan. So we're gonna talk about those things too, because wow, there's a lot of talk today about some of the things that happened. We did have a college football game this weekend.
We did. We had the classic Army-Navy game, which was a low-scoring affair as expected. But Army kind of started to run away with that game early, and then Navy fought their way back into it, but Army held them off. And not only did Army win the game, but they won the I think it's the Commander-in-Chief trophy.
Yeah, exactly.
Because all three military schools play each other throughout the season.
Yes, that is very true.
So they all three of them each have a game against the other. Army swept Navy and Air Force. So by doing so, they win the Commander-in-Chief trophy as well as became bowl eligible. And this is also Army's last season as an independent. Next season, they'll be joining Navy in the American Athletic Conference.
Oof, there you go.
So kind of a cool way for them to leave the independent status. And the reason for them finally going to a conference is that as an independent, the way that conference realignment is going, it's getting harder and harder and harder for independent schools to schedule games.
True enough.
Because with more conference realignment and these conferences growing, they're having to play more conference games, which leaves less space for the independent schools. So this really helps out our Army in the long run. Will also help get them kind of on a bigger platform, or at least a platform where they will be seen more often.
Well, I thought we'd do something a little different today. Since there's no college to really speak of other than this, you got transfer portal stuff going on.
Yeah.
There's a ton of that. A lot of people are leaving schools. Some are more of a surprise than others, but then some.
But hey, we got bowl games this weekend, baby.
We got it. So that's what we're going to start with. So here's how we're going to do this. We are going to do a pick'em version of this. All right. So I got the pick'em listed here.
Okay.
Let me. Matter of fact, I'm going to get this on the screen. We'll share this so people can kind of watch along with us while we're doing it. Let me get that. Right there, we'll share that. Get that up. Have it here on the screen as we're doing it. So we'll go down through here. And as we're doing this, like I said, we're going to start putting stuff out there. These bowl games are starting Saturday. So we'll pick them. Now, as we're picking these, this is going to be in my part of the pick them thing. So I'm doing this on my account. So this is what's going in.
All right.
So we're locking this in on my account. So here we go. We're going to start off with Ohio Bobcats and the Georgia Southern Eagles. This is in the Myrtle Beach Bowl. So right now it's Ohio Bobcats 9-3 versus the Georgia Southern Eagles 6-6. 89% have picked the Ohio Bobcats versus 11% picking the Georgia Southern Eagles. JC, who we got here?
I myself am rolling with the Bobcats. They've actually been a pretty special team this year. I mean, I know the MAC's not great football by any stretch of the imagination, but there was a really good Akron team in that MAC conference. So it's not like they're untested. I'm taking the Bobcats.
All right, we've got in the Cricket Celebration Bowl, we've got Florida A&M Rattlers versus Howard Bison, an 11-1 team versus a 6-5 team here.
Yeah, Florida A&M is kind of top dog right there, so got to go with the Rattlers.
In the R&L Carriers New Orleans Bowl, we've got the Raging Cajuns 6-6 taking on Jacksonville State Gamecocks, who are 8-4.
Yeah, Jacksonville State was in that James Madison type situation where it's their first year in Division One as a Division One team, so they weren't allowed to go to a bowl game.
Yeah.
But enough hell got raised about James Madison because of how well James Madison played this year that they ultimately decided to let all the bowl eligible first year schools play. So I'm rolling with the Gamecocks.
There you go. Appalachian State. This is the Avocados from Mexico Cure Bowl. I miss the days when these bowls were easy to pronounce.
Yeah, well,
Rolls, the peach, Tostitos, whatever. Now they're all different.
Yeah, it's like your favorite politician. It's about who's paying for them.
Exactly. We got Appalachian State at 8-5 taking on the Miami of Ohio Redhawks, who are 11-2.
I'm rolling with the Mountaineers. I mean, I talked about James Madison earlier. They were undefeated before App State came into their place and punched them in the mouth. The Mountaineers, they have made over the last 20 years, like that's what they're known for, is just upsetting schools who are teams that might be better than them. So I'm rolling with the Mountaineers.
All right. In the Isleta, New Mexico Bowl, we've got the Fresno State Bulldogs, who are 8-4, taking on the New Mexico State Aggies, who are 10-4.
Yeah, basically a home game for New Mexico State, but I'm rolling with the state that is Fresno.
All right.
Which is not a state at all. It's a city, but I digress.
Now we've got in the Starco Brands LA Bowl, you got Boise State taking on UCLA. Boise State's 8-5, UCLA 7-5. And it's almost a half and half game here versus who picked what. Most people right now are leaning towards UCLA. Who do you got in this game?
I am also leaning towards the Bruins. Boise State's a decent team, but UCLA played a tougher schedule against a substantially tougher conference, and they finished off their regular season by kind of decimating USC in a lot of ways. So I'm going to go with the Bruins.
In the Radiance Technologies Independence Bowl, you've got Texas Tech Red Raiders at 6-6 taking on Cal Golden Bears at 6-6. Who do you like here?
Well, the last time we saw Texas Tech Red Raiders, they got it handed to them by the Texas Longhorns. I don't know how well they're going to bounce back from that, but it's not like it's been a walk in the park for Cal either. I'm going to go with the Red Raiders here.
You know, at one point before the season started, Texas Tech looked like they might have a
they were projected to be the second best team in the conference.
And they did not live up to that billing. We got in the famous Toastery Bowl, you have Old Dominion Monarchs at 6-6 taking on Western Kentucky Hilltoppers at 7-5.
Look, I don't know enough about either of these teams to really pick, but I just love Old Dominion.
I hear you.
You're
going Old Dominion?
I'm a big fan. Like the fact that their mascot is the Monarchs.
Yeah.
And when I see Old Dominion, I always think of the trucking company.
So, yeah.
I'm going with the Monarchs.
All right. Then we've got Marshall, the Thundering Herd at 6-6 taking on UTSA Roadrunners, who are 8-4.
Yeah, I'm going with Texas San Antonio here. The Roadrunners have had a pretty good run the last couple of years. I think it continues here, and get them the Scooters Coffee Frisco Bowl.
We've got in the roofclaim.com Boca Raton Bowl, you've got Syracuse at 6-6 taking on South Florida Bulls at 6-6.
Hey, you remember a long time ago when Syracuse was like 5-0 or 6-0?
Yes, seems like a lifetime ago.
It probably feels like a lifetime ago for them. I do think that they're a better team than South Florida, so I'm taking the Orange.
At the Union Home Mortgage Gasparilla Bowl, you've got UCF Knights taking on Georgia Tech. Both teams are 6-6.
I'm going with the Knights. I know Georgia Tech finally decided to go away from that triple option offense that they've run since the school was first founded.
Mm-hmm.
But I think UCF, they have a better or more talented roster top to bottom.
Yeah.
And I forget the kid's name, but the running back for UCF, I mean, that dude could play for any school in the country.
At the Camellia Bowl, you've got the Northern Illinois Huskies at 6-6 taking on Arkansas State Red Wolves at 6-6. Who do you like here?
I'm rolling with the Red Wolves.
Okay. I like it.
I mean, I don't really have any kind of evidence or stats or anything to spit at you. It's just a gut feeling.
At the 76 Birmingham Bowl, you got the Duke Blue Devils sitting at 7-5, taking on the Troy Trojans, who are 11-2.
Yeah, Troy has had a great year this year, but Duke started off really, really well, and then they did stumble against some really good competition, really good competition that Troy did not play. So I'm taking the Blue Devils.
All right, I like it. Air Force 8-4 takes on James Madison Dukes, who are 11-1.
Yeah, with that one being that aforementioned loss to Appalachian State. The Air Force Falcons had a pretty solid season, but once they lost to Army, it really kind of started to unravel for them. I know will be looking to bounce back, especially since this is the Armed Forces Bowl. But, man, give me the Dukes.
That's right. Got to. After that thing on Pat McAfee, man, that was great. Coaches out there, right?
Oh, yeah.
The crowd's fired up.
Where they were talking about the NCAA not letting a bowl.
Oh, yeah. That's been my favorite segment of the entire year. All right, the famous Idaho Potato Bowl. You've got Utah State Aggies 6-6 versus Georgia State Panthers 6-6. Who you got?
This is one of those that is a coin flip as far as I'm concerned.
It seems like most people are leaning towards Utah State.
Yeah, most people are leaning towards Utah State, so I'm taking Georgia State.
There you go. You've got the Eastern Michigan Eagles, the South Alabama Jaguars. Both teams are 6-6, and this goes into the 68 Ventures Bowl. Who you got?
I'm taking the South Alabama Jaguars.
There you go. Oh, this ought to be a good one at the SRS Distribution Las Vegas Bowl. This will be 23rd, Christmas Eve. You've got Northwestern at 7-5, Utah Utes at 8-4. Who you got?
So, Utah's going to win this game.
I think so.
They should. They're a better team. But let's just take a second to appreciate the fact that Northwestern is 7-5.
Yeah.
And playing on a bowl game on December 23rd, when to start this season, or before the season even started, they lost their head coach.
Yep.
Players were woefully unhappy with the state of the program and the way it was going. And now here they are. I mean, the fact that they've gotten here is wildly impressive, but I'm taking the Utes.
All right. In the Easy Post Hawaii Bowl, you've got San Jose State Spartans 7-5. Coastal Carolina Chanticleers 7-5. Who you got?
Oh, I'm taking the Chanticleers all day.
I like the Chanticleers just because of their name.
I think over the last 5 to 10 years, they have been a better program all the way around than San Jose State, and I think that's what's going to carry them through this game.
All right, we've got the Quick Lane Bowl. You've got the Minnesota Golden Gophers at 5-7, taking on Bowling Green Falcons at 7-5. Who we got?
I'm going to say Minnesota wins.
That's what I'm thinking.
Even though they're 5-7, they play a Big Ten schedule.
Yeah,
they got tested way more than Bowling Green did this year,
consistently throughout the season.
So yeah, Minnesota did not earn the right to be in this game, but there just weren't enough bowl eligible teams. So, but I am going to roll with the Golden Gophers here.
ServPro First Responder Bowl. You've got Rice Owls at 6-6, taking on the Texas State Bobcats at 7-5. Hoo-ah.
Give me the Texas State Bobcats.
There you go.
They don't ever win anything.
No, they don't. They need to win this bowl. Guaranteed Rate Bowl. You've got the UNLV Rebels at 9-4, taking on the Kansas Jayhawks at 8-4.
Kansas Jayhawks are 8-4, yes, but it's a very respectable 8-4.
That's right.
I mean, they had a loss to Texas, but they also beat Oklahoma. Pretty solid Jayhawks team. I think they're more battle tested than UNLV will be, and of course there was the tragedy on the UNLV campus this past week, so who knows what the mind state will be of that team, or even if they will play this game. We still don't know what the fallout is going to be, but as of right now, I'm picking the Kansas Jayhawks. At the Military Bowl, you've got the Tulane Green Wave at 11-2, Virginia Tech Hokies at 6-6. Oh, it's Green Wave all day.
There you go.
I mean, I know they did lose to SMU in the conference championship game, but man, they were so good all year. I'm going to go ahead and roll with them in the bowl game.
At Duke's Mayo Bowl, you've got West Virginia Mountaineers at 8-4, taking on the North Carolina Tar Heels, also 8-4.
Tar Heels are the better team. Like West Virginia very quietly got to 8-4, and the Tar Heels are kind of a disappointing 8-4.
Yeah. All right, at the DirecTV Holiday Bowl, you've got the USC Trojans at 7-5, taking on the number 15 Louisville Cardinals at 10-3.
Oh, SC is probably not going to have Caleb Williams.
I wouldn't think so.
They're not going to have Brendan Rice.
No.
So, yeah, I know Louisville lost a rough, ugly game against Florida State for the ACC conference title, but they're a pretty good squad. I think they're a better squad than the Trojans are.
At the Tax Act Texas Bowl, you got number 20 Oklahoma State Cowboys at 9-4, taking on the Texas A&M Aggies at 7-5. Who we got?
Well, this is so weird because A&M's not particularly good.
No.
And Oklahoma State seemed like they were a pretty good team until they ran into Texas, and then that looked awful.
Yeah.
I mean, it looked real bad. They do have the best running back in the country, though, in Ollie Gordon. So I'm going to take the Cowboys.
Yeah, agreed. At the Wasabi Fenway Bowl, you got Boston College Eagles 6-6, taking on the number 24 SMU Mustangs, who are 11-2, coming off a conference championship.
Yeah, give me the Mustangs to go all the way up to Boston, right there in Fenway Park, blast the Boston College Eagles right in their mouths in their own backyard, and walk out of there with the Wasabi Fenway Bowl championship.
At the Bad Boy Mowers Pinstripe Bowl, you got the Miami Hurricanes 7-5, taking on Rutgers Scarlet Knights at 6-6. Who you got?
I am taking the Hurricanes to waltz into the Bronx up there at Yankee Stadium and walk out with that Pinstripe Bowl.
At the Pop-Tarts Bowl, you've got the number 25 Kansas State Wildcats sitting at 8-4, taking on the number 18 NC State Wolfpack at 9-3. This is a 50-50 pick split so far.
Yeah, well, let me unpick or unsplit it here. I'm taking the Kansas State Wildcats.
All right.
I do like what NC State's been able to do this year, but Kansas State is a much better team than what their record indicates. So I'm taking them to get the win. And have you seen the deal with this Pop-Tarts Bowl?
No.
They're going to have a giant, Pop-Tart mascot on the field, which is kind of awesome. And then also, I believe the winning team gets, a real trophy, but then they also get an edible trophy. It's like a giant Pop-Tart everyone gets to take a bite out of.
Yeah.
It's kind of wild.
That's some things around.
I'm here for the gimmicks, man.
That's right. At the Valero Alamo Bowl, you've got number 12, the Oklahoma Sooners, 10-2, taking on the number 14 Arizona Wildcats sitting at 9-3. Who you got?
Well, the Sooners don't have Dylan Gabriel.
Nope.
He is going to Oregon, I believe it was announced. However, you know that they're deep all across the board.
Oh, yeah.
I think they're a much better roster than the Wildcats are, but Oklahoma has had a bad habit of getting in their own way, whereas Arizona has had a season of just pulling out miraculous upsets that no one thought they had any chance to win. Give me the Wildcats.
All right, we got the Tax Slayer Gator Bowl. You've got the Kentucky Wildcats 7-5, taking on the number 22 Clemson Tigers at 8-4.
I like Kentucky. I do, but I know Clemson had a rough year. They had a real bad start to the season. Where they were 2-3 at one point,
Something
or 2-4. They kind of turned that thing around. But man, Dabo recruits well. He's got a good squad. He just needs to do more to get Clemson back into that national spotlight. But I'm taking the Tigers.
There you go. At the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl, you got number 16, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, taking on number 19, Oregon State Beavers. It was announced earlier today that Sam Hartman will not be quarterbacking the Irish. He is getting ready for the draft. Who do you like here?
I still like the Irish. Sam Hartman's a big loss for Notre Dame. But the thing that really kind of irks me about the Beavers in particular is you think going back to the last week of the regular season, they're playing Oregon. Before the game, Oregon State's head coach tells Oregon State that he's taking the job at Michigan State.
Wow.
Before they played their biggest rival.
I'm going to break this news now.
Yeah, told them that DJ Uyunglele will also not be playing. He's in the transfer portal. So give me the Fighting Irish.
All right, at the AutoZone Liberty Bowl, you've got the Iowa State Cyclones 7-5 taking on the Memphis Tigers, who are 9-3.
I think people have the recent bias syndrome with this game because Iowa State just played a hell of a game. I think it was on Thanksgiving against Kansas State, where it was, it was high scoring. It was like 45-41 or something like that, where Iowa State scored 5 touchdowns of more than 70 yards in the snow.
Oh, yeah.
It was kind of a wild game, but, man, Memphis has just been rock solid all season. I think that continues. They get a big win in their home stadium against a Big 12 team.
All right, at the Goodyear Cotton Bowl, you've got the number 7 Ohio State Buckeyes 11-1 taking on the number 9 Missouri Tigers, who are 10-2.
So
what you got?
Ohio State does not have their starting quarterback, Kyle McCord, also in the transfer portal. I'm not sure where Marvin Harrison Jr. is at. Like we all assume he's going to the draft.
Yeah.
Right, because he's going to be the number 1 wide receiver. But Ohio State's probably super deep at quarterback. They always are. It doesn't matter how many quarterbacks come and go from that program. Missouri's pretty locked in. They're a good squad. I just don't know if maybe the emotional toll of how they lost that game to Michigan, being left out of the college football playoffs, if that's going to play a factor for the Buckeyes. But I'm going to take the Buckeyes over the Tigers.
All right. At the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, you've got number 10 Penn State taking on number 11 Ole Miss Rebels. Both teams 10-2. A very tightly picked game here.
Yeah,
what do you got?
I think this could go either way. Both of these teams, they do a thing really well. Like Ole Miss plays offense really well. Penn State plays defense really well. I'm going to take Ole Miss's offense to beat Penn State's defense, taking the Rebels.
All right, at the TransPerfect Music City Bowl, you got the Maryland Terrapins 7-5 taking on the Auburn Tigers 6-6. Who you got here?
I'm taking Auburn, man. Because they've lost 6 games this season, but they have played some really good teams.
And that game against Bama.
Yeah, the game against Bama was bonkers, but there were other games in there as well, like Georgia. They held Georgia in check for most of that game. So Auburn is very well tested against the premier teams in America, and I think Maryland is not that.
We really haven't talked about it, but I think now's a good time to do that. So Auburn, this is their first season under head coach Hugh Freeze.
Correct.
They are already their draft class they're signing right now, or the class that they're signing right now. There has already jumped them way up. I mean, this is their biggest class they've signed in a long time for Auburn. So,
that's what Hugh Freeze does.
He does it well. And so, what I'm getting at is that you got Texas and OU coming in, which adds 2 more powerhouse teams. If Auburn's on the verge of a resurgence, that's yet another team. And I have no doubt that Auburn will be a player under Hugh. I think he will. He's going to make it a tough out for – he's going to make, like these games we saw with Alabama and Georgia, there's going to be consistently a lot of that to where those teams aren't going to get a cakewalk through Auburn anymore.
Yeah, it's you'll see it to where they start to split those games.
Exactly.
Win one, lose one. Maybe there'll be years where they win both of them.
It's going to be a wild,
and here's the thing, too.
SEC.
If you have to play Auburn at Jordan-Hare Stadium and you're a premier team in the country, you better go home and say a few extra prayers before that game. Because we have seen some just bananas stuff happen inside that stadium.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it gets wild. All right, Capital One Orange Bowl, you've got number 5 Florida State taking on number 6 Georgia Bulldogs.
Look, I get Florida State's pissed off.
I do too. I get it.
It is. But 100% reasonable for them to feel the way they feel.
But Florida State's not the only pissed off team in this game.
Yeah, Georgia's pretty upset that they let themselves lose to Alabama. Not really just lose to Alabama, but Alabama kind of handled them.
Yep.
Like Alabama didn't blow them out. Let's not be ridiculous, but they handled Georgia in that game. Anytime Georgia would score to make it close again, Bama would answer right back.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely.
Of course, Georgia's going to be firing on all cylinders. They're a much deeper team than Florida State is, and Florida State's really good. They're a phenomenal defensive team.
Yep.
But we know what the component is. Like, Jordan Travis isn't there. Now, could Tate Rodemaker possibly get ready to go by then? Yeah, sure. I mean, that's not until the 30th. But Georgia's been playing with all their guys all season long. I think they've got the chemistry built in. They're, like I said, a deeper team. Give me the Bulldogs.
At the Barstool Sports Arizona Bowl, you got the Wyoming Cowboys 8-4 taking on the Toledo Rockets, who are 11-2. Who you got?
Man, just been really impressed with what this Rockets team has done all year. That's who I'm rolling with.
At the Rely Quest Bowl, you've got number 13, LSU Tigers, taking on the 7-5 Wisconsin Badgers.
This one shouldn't even be particularly close. LSU should roll in that game.
At the Verbo Fiesta Bowl, you've got number 8 Oregon Ducks taking on the undefeated number 23 Liberty Flames.
I don't know if Bo Nix is playing in this game. But any way it goes, like, Oregon should be able to beat Liberty. But man, this is huge for Liberty. 13-0 season and going to a Fiesta Bowl on New Year's Day, like it's
a big game.
That's big time, especially going against this Oregon Ducks team. But Oregon should get it done there.
At the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl, you've got number 21 Tennessee taking on number 17 Iowa Hawkeyes. Who you got here?
I'm going with the Volunteers just because they score points. Like, that's what they're known for, and Iowa can't.
And finally, we've got on January 1st the CFP semifinal at the Rose Bowl. You've got number 1 Michigan taking on number 4 Alabama. Who you got? This is a pick'em game on this so far.
I know how a lot of people feel about this game.
Yep.
But I disagree. Wolverines get the win, baby.
Okay, there you go.
A lot of people I talk to, of course, we're in the South. We're in the heart of SEC country.
So a little bias going on.
So, yeah, there is some bias going on. But a lot of people 100% think that Bama is going to win this game. And, look, if you go back to the selection show where they were revealing who got in,
yep.
Of course, they started with Michigan. Then they went to Washington. Then they went to Texas. And everyone's like, all right, well, who's this 4 seed going to be? Is it going to be Bama or is it going to be Florida State? When it was revealed as Bama, you saw the dejection.
Oh, yeah.
At the University of Michigan.
Oh, absolutely.
Or Michigan University, whatever it is. But they were – all those players were very visibly not okay, to the point that some of them stood up and were like, what is going on?
Exactly.
Shows me that some of those guys don't feel confident about their chances against an Alabama as opposed to a Florida State.
That's right. I think they thought they were about to have an easy game of it.
And
then it got revealed that,
nope,
crap, we're not going to have an easy game.
But they should have had an easy game last year when they played TCU.
Yeah.
And they didn't.
Exactly.
So, but I am going to go with the Wolverines to beat the Crimson Tide there.
And then 3 hours and 45 minutes later, we have the CFP semifinal at the All-State Sugar Bowl. You got number 2 Washington Huskies taking on the number 3 Texas Longhorns. Who you got?
I've got the Texas.
I'm already picking us off. So yeah, there you go.
I mean, it's not even a. I mean, it's partially a fandom thing, but man, Texas over the last 2 games really is just playing. They're playing on another level from anything we've seen. And yeah, Xavier Worthy busted up his ankle, but Sark said he should be ready to go, no problems, by the time this game rolls around. So, I mean, I love what the Longhorns have working for them as of right now. Their running back room is the deepest room in the country. I'm taking the Longhorns, which means we get Longhorns, Wolverines, in the national championship.
All right, speaking of that, so that's your pick. Who you got winning the national championship? Because that's the final pick on here.
I mean, I got Texas. What are you talking about?
I mean, because you got Michigan, Alabama, or Washington, Texas, so it's one of those. So that's what I figured too. So that's what I already picked. And then how many points do you think will be scored in the national championship game?
Total points.
Total points.
Between Michigan and Texas. I am going to say 67 points.
All right.
I'm gonna have Texas win 36-31.
Bam. All right, there we go. There it is. Cool. There we go. That's our pick 'em for all the bowl games. And we will review the first picks as they come in this weekend. We'll come out here next Monday. We'll see what's up with that. So we'll do that. Now we got to switch over to the end of the FL.
We also got to pay some bills.
We definitely got to do that. And before I get to the NFL, we got a big show coming up this weekend. We got some new sponsors for that show as we're headed to Coldwater, Mississippi at the elementary school there for Holiday Havoc. It's a big toy drive wrestling show that we're going to have there at the Coldwater Elementary School at the Coach Spivey Gym. Going to be a big show. We got some sponsors on board, and we'll let you guys hear from our sponsors right now. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. All Heart Jiu-Jitsu. All Heart is here to help you reach your dreams. Located at 126 North Front Street in Senatobia, we offer both kids and adult classes. All Heart Gym is a family-friendly jiu-jitsu and MMA facility. Contact us on our website, allheartgym.com. All Heart Jiu-Jitsu, helping you make your dreams come true. Want to sculpt your body but not have to do invasive surgery or gimmick medications? Cockrell Family Medical Center in Senatobia, Mississippi brings you M-Sculpt, the first of its kind. It's considered a breakthrough in non-invasive body shaping. This revolutionary procedure simultaneously delivers heat and magnetic energy, resulting in more fat reduction and more muscle growth. Suffering from incontinence and just want an overall better quality of life? Cockrell Family Medical Center can help you there as well. Call us today at 662-301-1128 or come by the clinic at 120 Norfolk Drive in Senatobia. Cockrell Family Medical Center. We're here for your health. Having trouble finding the right insurance for you? Tired of corporate insurance companies whose only concern is padding the bottom line? Story Insurance has been serving the local and surrounding communities in Mississippi and Tennessee for over 20 years. Need auto, home, life, farm, or business coverage? Richard Story can help you find the right insurance to match your needs for the best rates. Call 662-560-7021 or visit his office at 5234 Highway 51 North in Senatobia, Mississippi. Story Insurance. We've got you covered. All right, time for us to move on to the NFL now, talking about these games. Some big games happened this weekend and some surprising scores from this weekend. I mean, it was, we do have a doubleheader tonight. We'll get to that here in just a minute. But Thursday night, we saw the Patriots beat the Steelers 21-18.
Yeah.
Bailey Zappi.
Yeah, Bailey Zappi, 3 touchdowns. He did have a pick, but 240 yards. He looked great in the first half. I think he threw a touchdown pass to Zeke and 2 to Hunter Henry. Speaking of Zeke, he had over 100 all-purpose yards in this game. It was his first time going over 100 yards in over 2 seasons.
Yep.
It's been, I think, 748 days since the last time he had a 100 all-purpose yards game. So good to see him looking like the Zeke of old. The Steelers continue to falter and stumble, and they can't blame it on Matt Canada anymore. He's not there.
No, they can't.
I think it was yesterday you and I were talking about Joe Flacco for the Cleveland Browns, right?
Yes.
So, of course, the Browns handled business yesterday against the Jaguars. Joe Flacco, 311 yards, 3 touchdowns, did have an interception. But Joe Flacco is the first Browns quarterback with 3 touchdowns, and each of those touchdown passes going over 30 yards or more in a single game since 1980. First time that's happened for the Browns. However, Joe Flacco over the last 2 weeks has 2 games with 250 passing yards and 2 touchdowns. The Steelers have not hit that feat even one time since Ben Roethlisberger retired.
Jeez. Steelers are in a world of hurt. They really are. The Buccaneers beat the Falcons 29-25.
Yeah, the Buccaneers improved to 6-7. The Falcons fall to 6-7, which means every team in the NFC South is currently sub 500 and the Buccaneers own the tiebreaker over the Falcons currently. So they are, as of this moment, sitting in first place.
You got the Bears beating the Lions 28-13.
Yeah, a lot of people are surprised by the score, but I mean, if you think back a few weeks, the Bears went to Detroit and were handling the Lions until the last 5 minutes of that game.
Yeah,
where they just kind of fell apart and the Lions hit their stride again. But the Lions defense, if you go back to, I guess, really Thanksgiving against the Packers, man, they've been bad.
Yeah, they have not been good.
Even the games that they won, the last couple of games they won prior to Thanksgiving, they won because they scored a lot of points, even though their defense gave up a lot of points. One of those was that aforementioned Bears game. Another one of those games was against the Chargers. I think they won 48-30 or 41-38. So the Lions defense is really failing them now, and going down the stretch, that's going to be super important. And the Lions are still going to win their division.
Yes,
I don't have any doubts about that. But it's going to be hard to believe in the Lions in the postseason.
You got the Bengals beating the Colts 34-14.
Yeah, look at Jake Browning, man.
I'll tell you what.
Another start, another great game. 275 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. He did get injured in this game. He had to leave. A.J. McCarron finished the game for the Bengals. But, man, the Bengals have looked kind of impressive since losing Joe Burrow.
They really have. This has got to be a huge breath of fresh air for the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah, and this was despite Jamar Chase not playing well in this game.
Yeah, very true.
And Gardner Minshew was pretty solid for a little bit, through that first half. But, man, the second half, they just made too many mistakes. And the Bengals win, which by virtue of the Bengals winning, got every team in the AFC North above 500. Yep. So the opposite of the NFC South.
Panthers lose to the Saints 28-6. Just another woeful outing for the Panthers.
Yeah, I saw a post after that Thursday night football game where the Patriots beat the Steelers. It said in the span of 5 days, the Patriots locked up the number 1 overall pick for the Chicago Bears.
Yeah. Because
the Bears had the Panthers' first-round pick.
That's right.
So they've got the number 1 pick. But they did it by virtue of – because, the Patriots were 1-10 a couple weeks ago.
And now they're
3-10. Yeah. So in 5 days, they really locked up that pick for the Bears, or all but locked up the pick for the Bears.
You have the Jets beat the Texans 30-6.
Zach M. Effin Wilson. His third career 300-yard game, had 2 touchdowns, no interceptions.
This dude's been so under fire, right? Just a lot in the news this past week.
C.J. Stroud got knocked out of this game with a concussion.
Yeah.
Granted, that was in the fourth quarter, though. Prior to going out of the game, I think C.J. Stroud only had 95 yards.
Yeah.
The Texans were just not playing well at all. And the Jets just exploded in that second half, man. And apparently, let me see if I can find out who it was. But I thought I had. I guess I don't. But apparently in the locker room, maybe it was DJ Reed. Zach Wilson was talking to DJ Reed, and a reporter ended up asking DJ Reed what they were talking about. And DJ Reed basically said that Zach came up to him and said, "I'm going to cut it loose today because what's the worst that can happen? They bench me again?"
There you go.
And he went out there and he just did the damn thing.
And I think that's – and it's funny. I think there's a lot of that, like you're trying to play within the scheme and within the confines of what the play call calls for.
Right.
Instead of playing how you play. Like we'll talk about this when it comes to Dak Prescott here in just a minute. But maybe it's the same thing for Zach. We'll see if that continues this weekend, if that carries over or not. But if that's the case, maybe just let him go out there and sling the rock and just kind of be himself and see. Because he's right. What's the worst that can happen at this point?
Yeah,
nothing.
Absolutely.
What, you win another game? Boo-hoo. It's bad. A great game. The Rams and the Ravens. The Rams gave the Ravens everything they wanted and then some.
Yeah,
This is such a good ball game.
Yeah, and the Ravens win this game with a walk-off punt return in overtime. Lamar Jackson, 316 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception through the air. Kyron Williams of the Rams, 25 carries, 114 yards. So after his stint on IR, he has really showed up. Cooper Kupp, 8 catches, 115 yards, touchdown. And Matt Stafford's been playing so well over the last few weeks. I mean, it looks like the Rams have got something here.
In the melatonin game of the week, you had the Vikings beat the Raiders 3-0.
So I saw a crazy stat about this game, or not just this game. It's actually a particular player on the Vikings. I think his last name is Metellus or something like that. So this dude he plays on defense. He has played every single position for the Vikings on defense this season. Think about that. He has played both interior defensive tackle spots. He has played
edge rushing.
He has played both edge rushing spots.
All 3 linebacker spots.
Yeah, both outside and inside linebackers. He has played left, right, and slot corner, and he has played both free and strong safety.
That's crazy. That's nuts. But wow, what a sad game.
And the Vikings still find themselves only 2 games back from the Lions.
We had the 49ers beating the Seattle Seahawks 28-16.
The 49ers offense just looks ungodly right now, man. 368 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick for Brock Purdy, 16 carries, 145 yards rushing for Christian McCaffrey. Deebo Samuel, 7 catches, 149 yards, touchdown. George Kittle had a 44-yard receiving touchdown. Right as of this moment, the 49ers are unquestionably the team to beat.
That's right. They are. I mean, they spanked the Cowboys. They spanked the Eagles, which are the other 2 top teams in the NFL, and made it look easy both times.
Or in the NFC. I mean, they're still
definitely in the NFC, but I would say probably in the whole NFL. I mean, I know the Cowboys and the Eagles are up there, especially when you look at some of these other teams, but throughout the entire NFL, the 49ers are correct, the team.
Yeah, absolutely.
They are the team, without question. I know they had that 3-game skid, but that was more of just circumstances and injuries happened at that one little skid that just knocked them down, but they have done nothing but respond and just knocking people out. This is crazy. You have the Broncos beating the Chargers 24-7. Yeah. Look at the Broncos with a positive winning record.
Yeah, they were 1-5 at one point.
Exactly.
And since then, they have won 6 of their next 7 after that. They're 7-6. They find themselves 1 game, ladies and gentlemen, one game behind Kansas City in the AFC West. Russell Wilson, 224 yards, 2 touchdowns, an interception. Big news coming out of this game, though. Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert re-injured that index finger on his throwing hand. He was having issues with that early in the season, but he fractured it yesterday.
And speaking of the Kansas City Chiefs, that game between the Chiefs and the Bills yesterday is a very good football game. Boy, it was a
kind of
back and forth slugfest. I mean, it really was. It was hard hitting. It was low scoring comparatively to what you're especially used to the Chiefs, I guess.
Every quarterback coach in America had a puckered sphincter watching that game because both Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes were throwing across their body.
Crazy passes.
Over the middle of the field. These weird shovel passes. There were what I call the nuke passes.
Yeah.
And I know people, when they think nuke, they think it's a big bomb down the field. No, I'm talking about the trajectory. It went up
and straight
and it came right down, for maybe 3 yards. You're like, oh, that's getting picked off. And then, a tight end or somebody would come up with it.
Yeah, it was wild. And, of course, the play that everybody's talking about, the Bills win this game because – and there's no guarantee that the Chiefs win because of this, but the Bills couldn't score anymore. But you have that play it's everywhere right now, talking about Kadarius Toney being offsides on this great play.
Which he was.
Travis Kelce catches the football, then has a wherewithal to throw a laser beam behind him to Kadarius Toney, who just walks into the end zone.
Through a defender's hands.
Oh, it was beautiful. It split them, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it was a perfect pass. And Kelsey was a quarterback in high school, so he could throw the football.
Yeah, that was 16 years ago.
Doesn't matter. That dude still could throw a football. He could spin it, and he spun it. It was perfect. And then so they're down there celebrating, and there's the yellow flag. Now, this is where it gets interesting because Patrick Mahomes loses his mind on the sidelines. Loses his mind. We've not seen this out of Patrick Mahomes like this.
Yelling at the refs.
Just
slamming his helmet.
I mean, he's fit to be tied.
Did you see the post-game exchange between him and Josh Allen?
Yeah, but I didn't get to see all. I only saw a clip of it.
They walked up and they shook hands, and Patrick Mahomes looked at Josh Allen and was like, "That's effing wild. I can't believe they even made that effing call."
Yeah, he was still mad. What did Josh Allen say?
Josh Allen's like, "All right, Pat, good luck, rest of the way."
Yeah, he's like, all right.
Because Josh Allen has been on the receiving end of some bad calls against Kansas City.
Exactly.
But by the way, by virtue of the Bills winning this game, Josh Allen becomes only the third quarterback in history with 3 wins against Pat Mahomes.
Hey, there you go.
The others being Joe Burrow and Tom Brady.
And here's the thing, too, though. Kadarius Toney was obviously offside.
He was.
This wasn't one of those where it's like splitting hairs where he could have been.
It was the front half of his foot was in front of the football.
That's right.
Not lined up with the football, in front of the football.
So when I hear those guys talking about and Patrick Mahomes talking about the, hey, look, I can't believe they would make that call. Like, dude, that's obvious offsides. I mean, that's blatantly obvious. You can't just as Kadarius Toney sitting out there looking down the line. You see, I played wide receiver all through high school, and you're taught this, right? Yeah. You have to look down. You have to see where you're at. You see it.
Yeah. And the wild part is Kadarius Toney was looking.
He was.
He was looking at the football and was still lined up in front of it.
So you know where you're at. And I don't know if his mind just melted because maybe this is a play they talked about running, or he knew he was going to trail the play because it was going to Travis Kelce just for that because it was proper position. It's perfect. Whatever, he has to be aware that he is blatantly offside. If we're going to sit there and ream the referees when they get it wrong, and they do get some stuff wrong, obviously, there's some bonehead plays.
But we got to back them up when they get it right.
Yeah, and they got this right. This was very, very the right call to make.
Even in the post-game presser, Pat Mahomes still refused to accept.
No, he didn't want to. They were all in on this being the wrong call. It was not. This wasn't one of those 50-50 calls. This was a blatant offsides call.
Rex Ryan had the quote of my lifetime talking about this game this morning. So I don't know how many of you people remember the infamous Footgate with Rex Ryan. Rex Ryan, big foot fetish guy.
Yep.
big foot fetish guy. So
big time.
So he's on air with Greeny and I forget the other cat that's on the show.
Was it RC Ryan Clark?
It might have been.
Yeah, I think it was Ryan Clark.
But Rex Ryan goes, "Look, you guys know I like toes. I don't like those toes."
I bet Greeny's died, right?
All of them are. No one can keep it together.
Losing it. But that's great.
Greeny had his head down.
I love Rex Ryan.
Not hiding his face, but his head was down.
Just like, oh my God.
It was so great.
That's awesome. I'm going to have to go back and watch that because that's awesome.
Oh, Rex Ryan's
he's
goated
trip,
for that
man.
one, man.
I swear. But it's just that's the thing, too. It's like, y'all, there have been many plays that he could have ripped the ref on throughout the season that they've been involved with.
Talking about Mahomes.
Yeah. This is not the one, dude.
That's not the one.
This is not the call.
Well, what really should have bothered him was the fact the very next play after that Kadarius Toney play, Von Miller was lined up well offsides and did not get called for it.
No, he didn't. Now, if you're going to argue one, argue that one. So if you got to call on us, you got to call on them. Be consistent. Right? And but here's the thing with Kadarius Toney. Like the referees don't have to tell you that, hey, you're lining up in the neutral zone. You can ask them, hey, am I good? And a lot of receivers out wide will do that.
They'll look and they'll throw the thumb up.
And the ref says yes, you're fine. But that's on you as the player. It's not the ref's job to do that.
Well, he wasn't looking at the ref because he was looking at the
ball.
ball.
At the ball the whole time.
Should have shown him that
I
he
do
was
not feel
offsides.
bad for them about this. It's like, but it wiped out a great play. Well, you know what? Maybe not be offsides. I saw a meme earlier where somebody photoshopped him halfway in the Bills secondary, and people were still complaining, how do they call this offsides? Like, dude, that's the world we live in as sports fans right there. All right, we got the Eagles and the Cowboys. The Cowboys just dog walked the Philadelphia Eagles last night, 33-13 in Arlington.
Say that again for the people in the back.
The Cowboys,
the Cowboys
absolutely dog walked the Philadelphia Eagles last night. I mean, this game wasn't close at any time. It really was. The Cowboys took their first drive, they're straight down the field. Next drive, out comes Jalen Hurts. Like, oh, we're moving. Oh, nope, strip.
Donovan Wilson, baby.
3 fumbles. Now, Cowboys had 3 fumbles in the first, cost 3 fumbles the defense did in the first meeting with Philadelphia. Philadelphia recovered them all. This game was the opposite of that.
Correct.
Cowboys cost 3 fumbles and recovered all of them. And not just against nobodies. Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. All coughed it up in Cowboys territory. This game, the Cowboys just went and stepped on that throat. And kept stepping on that throat. And this wasn't even Dak Prescott's a really good game for him. I mean he went a stretch at one point.
It was not a bad game.
It wasn't a bad game, but it was one of those where he went at one point where it was like, 7 passes in a row? He went that stretch where they had the all the penalties, right? That's when they ended up kicking the 60-yard field goal.
Right. So, I mean, that was fairly early on. That was
so it was early. Yeah, so he was,
I think after the first quarter, he was 6 of 13.
That's right. So he went on that stretch where it was just bad, and that was it. And then, of course, Aubrey booms a 60-yarder. With ease, and then a 59-yarder with ease later in the third quarter. So I think they kicked 3 in the second half because the Cowboys didn't score a touchdown in the second half. But what was funny to this, out of all of this, was the fact that all the haters, all the people in the sports media, in the mainstream sports media, hated the outcome of this football game.
Yeah, the fact that the Cowboys beat the Eagles by 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, and the fact they couldn't go in there and dog on the Cowboys again, going, well, they ain't beat nobody yet. You have been praising Philadelphia as one of the best teams in the league up until last weekend.
Which was well earned, by the way.
Very well earned. And the Eagles are still one of the best teams in the league. It's a great football team.
They just had 2 awful weeks.
They have.
In the last 2 weeks, the Eagles have been outscored, I think it's 75 to 32.
That's right.
75 to 32, they've been outscored.
Yeah. So it's not like the Eagles are a bad football team. They are not. They got some studs on that football team. And I love Jalen Hurts. You've heard me talk about it.
Yeah.
And we're AJ Brown fans. I mean, we are.
I went to school with the guy.
That's right. So we're huge AJ Brown fans. So these guys are good. And it was chippy last night. But AJ Brown did something he should not have done.
He called Gilly old.
And you don't do that with Stephon Gilmore, who is going to be a Hall of Famer.
Oh, for sure.
This dude is a beast and always has been.
But maybe people should call Gilly old more often because Gilly looked like 2019 Defensive Player of the Year.
Dude, when he ran down Devontae Smith, cut across that field and caught him and buried him for no gain. Well, it was only a minimal gain.
I think he got a yard.
Yeah, on 4th down.
But that was, I think, the play before that on 3rd down.
Oh.
He held A.J. Brown to 2 yards.
He did. Stephon Gilmore was great. This dude was off the chain yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, guys were making plays all over the place. Deron Bland had 2 tackles for loss in this game. Micah Parsons, battling the flu, got a sack.
Yep.
Osa had a tackle for loss. Chauncey Golston tackle for loss. I mean, the guys were getting after it.
They were. It was wild. It was a fun game last night.
Here's the thing that stands out to me the most. Jalen Hurts was held to 30 yards rushing. DeAndre Swift was held to 39 yards rushing.
Yes.
Gainwell was held to 28 yards rushing. Boston Scott only 9 yards. So the 3 running backs and the quarterback combined for 106 yards.
That's it.
Jalen Hurts only threw for 197 yards, and technically some of that yardage gets counted off for the sack.
Yep.
And so, I mean, you look at Dak, Dak from a percentage, passing percentage completions, it was 60%.
That's right.
Completion, but
still good completion percentage.
Threw for 271 yards, had 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. He was sacked 3 times for 15 yards, so I guess his total team passing comes to 256.
But we got to talk about Ferg. Oh, Fergalicious out there. Good Lord.
Well, how he's just straight manned up the last 2 weeks.
Oh, my God. This is the one we've been waiting on this. And he has. This dude's
we saw
laying
it last
lumber.
week against Seattle.
He knocked Blankenship. He knocked out of the game last night.
Yeah, Reed Blankenship.
Yeah.
Put him in concussion
protocol.
Then he hurdles, what's the guy's name? Sidney Jones?
Yes. He catches passes down the seam, outstretched.
Sidney Brown, rather. Sorry.
This dude was doing it last night. That was awesome. I'm like, that's what we're talking about right there. The last 2 weeks, he's been on fire.
Yeah, he had 8 targets in this game. He caught 5 of them for 72 yards, led the team in receiving yards by 1 yard. But he was averaging 14.4 yards per reception. CeeDee Lamb, 10 targets, 6 receptions, 71 yards, 11.8 per reception with the touchdown. Michael Gallup, who's been very quiet all year, came up with a touchdown right before halftime.
Exactly.
And Brandon Cooks, he only had 2 catches for 37 yards, but both of them were huge.
They were, especially that one that put it down there, right?
Yeah.
Right there at the one, the 2-inch line. I mean, because he was
that one,
almost in.
But on
That
earlier in that drive, Brandon Cooks catches one around midfield.
Yes.
He catches the ball, but it was pass interference on Sidney Brown.
Was it pass interference and face masking? Was that the one?
That's the caveat.
That's the
it
one.
was also a face mask too,
because that's where he caught him at.
So they had to enforce the face mask from the end of the run. So it really put the ball at like the 35.
Yes.
And then Dak, a few plays later, hits Brandon Cooks again, which gets it down to that 1 yard line.
Yeah, it was, man, beautiful stuff.
It was an impressive game for the Cowboys.
It was.
And of course,
this is what we were wanting to see at the beginning, but I think it's one of those things. They installed a new offense,
right?
And you can see the progression throughout the season. You saw it in the last few weeks how they're just more and more comfortable.
And McCarthy's calling plays too.
And wanted to go back to, we were talking about Zach Wilson and him just going out and slinging it. Dak Prescott has, what's the difference in the Cowboys? Vertical routes.
Yeah.
They are challenging the field. I've been saying this for the last 5 years. They've got to start throwing downfield. Stop throwing these dink and dunk passes. You're not doing anything. McCarthy has opened this playbook up and said, you want to throw it downfield, you feel like it, go for it. And they do. It's like, oh, crap, we just can't rely on them throwing it short anymore because Dak can actually put it on a dime right where it needs to go.
Absolutely.
And it's great. This is the Dak Prescott I absolutely love. He's setting his feet. That's the other thing about the West Coast offense. You know, when you drop back on it, it's 1-2 plant throw.
Yep.
That's Dak. And it makes a world of difference. And I love it. It's great to see.
Want to get into some special teams real fast for the Cowboys here. Brian Anger had a punt in the third quarter.
Yes, nice seeing him finally. Been a while.
It went 48 yards. Thing is, that was Brian Anger's first punt in 8 quarters of football.
Yeah.
The last time he had punted was the Thanksgiving Day game, also in the third quarter. So it was literally 2 full games of football had gone by before he punted again.
Which is crazy, man. That's wild.
So
isn't it?
That was the first punt in AT&T Stadium since Thanksgiving. Because neither Dallas nor Seattle punted last week.
No. No, they didn't.
And then, of course, we talked about Brandon Aubrey a little bit, but, guys, we just need to put what Brandon Aubrey's doing into perspective. He was 4-4 in this game with a long of 60, but I think Chad talked about it earlier, he hit from 60, he hit from 59, he hit from 50, and he hit from 45. He is the first kicker in NFL history to hit 2 field goals of 59 or longer in the same game.
Smalls.
But Brandon Aubrey he was a software engineer before he became a kicker in the USFL. Before he was a software engineer, he played Major League Soccer. Before Major League Soccer, he was a soccer player at Notre Dame. Now, as a rookie in the NFL, he is 30 of 30 on field goals for the season. And he is also, I think he's had a couple missed extra points on the year.
Yeah, that's only his only misses were
extra points. But his field goals are incredible. And the only thing I hate about Brandon Aubrey right now is the fact that he's as old as he is. I mean, he's like 28.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, it's funny because people are like, well, he's a soccer player. He should be able to kick the ball. There's a lot of soccer players out there. That don't mean they can do what he's done.
No.
That ball flight, the striking of the ball and the ball flight is almost similar every time he kicks that football. It is ridiculous. And that 60-yarder would have been good from 65 easy. We got to remember, no wind,
Right.
no altitude. All right.
But,
So
you think about Justin
great.
Tucker's 66-yarder he hit against the Lions, was it last year or the year before?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that was in Detroit.
That's right.
In the dome.
Just boomed it.
No wind.
No wind. I mean, it's impressive.
He caught a great bounce off the crossbar, but,
Hey, but he still drilled it, popped it out over there.
Still hit it. So shout out to Brandon Aubrey. And just, I don't know if people appreciate what he's doing. I mean, what was the record for most consecutive field goals hit the start of career? It was 18?
Something like that. He smashed that record.
He's close to doubling that up.
Yeah. He's 30 for 30 now, I believe.
Yes, he's 30 for 30 now.
And wow.
And here, and just kind of touching back on Dak and what he's been doing. Over the last 8 games, Dak Prescott is 201 completions on 290 attempts. That's 69% completion percentage.
Yeah.
2,444 passing yards, 25 total touchdowns, only 2 interceptions.
Mm-hmm.
The Cowboys are 7-1 in those 8 games. He's playing out of his mind.
Yes. What else can you say? I mean, what a big turnaround from last year. There's a lot that goes into that, but wow.
Like,
you love to see it.
I know that there are people that don't want Dak Prescott to win MVP. And if you want to make an argument for Brock Purdy,
sure.
I'm here for it. I'll listen. But man, I just think what Dak Prescott is doing right now, it feels different.
That's right.
Everything about it feels different from what we have seen Dak do in his career. And we've seen him do some great stuff.
And I will say this. I think the difference in the two is the Cowboys don't have a Christian McCaffrey in the backfield. I love Tony Pollard and stuff, but Christian McCaffrey is a next-level talent. He just is. And that's no slide on anybody. But he is. It's just what we knew that.
Yeah. That's why he was a top 10 pick in the NFL draft.
And I don't for a second believe that the 49ers are the same without him. I still think they're a good football team.
Well,
but without Christian McCaffrey back there, they ain't the same.
But we saw them have Christian McCaffrey, but they lost Deebo Samuel and they lost Trent Williams.
Yep.
And when they did that, they fell apart.
That's right. I just think that so that's why I think, Dak doesn't have that next level in the backfield. They got Deebo Samuel, who's great, but they also got CeeDee Lamb, Dallas does, who is great.
But they also have 49ers, that is, also have Brandon Ayuk.
Yep.
They have George Kittle.
They got some studs out there.
They have monsters on that offense.
So that's why I think Dax is more impressive, and I'm biased. I don't care. I'll just say it. But I think he's definitely MVP caliber. Nobody else is close. Other than him and Brock Purdy, I just don't see anybody else close. I just don't. I don't think there's anybody close to it.
I didn't realize bye weeks were still going on, but apparently bye weeks were the Cardinals and Commanders were both on.
We didn't miss them, is what he's saying.
Yeah.
We didn't miss them. Speaking of missing things, tonight we've got the Titans and the Dolphins. The Lions Miami by 14.
Yep, Dolphins.
And we've also got the Packers and the Giants tonight. The Lions Green Bay by 6 on the road.
Yep. Packers should absolutely handle that. The Giants just aren't good.
No, they're not. Now we're entering the final stretch of the season, the next 4 games. We got 4 weeks left of the regular season.
No more bye weeks left.
None.
That was the last week of bye.
That's it. And so Thursday night we got Chargers Raiders in a game that says Las Vegas by 3, and that could be the final score.
Yeah.
Who you got?
Well, the Chargers don't have Justin Herbert, so I'm taking the Raiders.
All right. We got Saturday. We got 3 games Saturday. You got Vikings-Bengals at noon. The line is Cincy by 3.5.
Yeah, I'm going with the Bengals too. I mean, the Vikings just beat a terrible Raiders team 3-0. So,
you got the Steelers and the Colts, Indy by 2.5.
Yeah, I'm looking for Indy to bounce back in that one.
And then Saturday night, you got Broncos and Lions.
Give me the Broncos on the road.
I hear you. Okay.
The way they're playing right now, why not?
I agree with you. And if they do win this football game, boy, that shakes things up a lot. I love the fact that the Broncos have changed it, have done this. So there you go. Sunday, we've got Cowboys, Bills. The line is Buffalo by 2.5 at home. Reason why? Because Cowboys have not been a good road team.
Yeah. I'm calling garbage. I'm taking the Cowboys.
All right. We've got Bears, Browns, Lions, Cleveland by 3.5 at home.
Look, I'm taking the Cowboys for a very specific reason. Like, yes, we all know that Josh Allen has been turning the ball over a lot.
Mhm.
Granted, he scores a lot of touchdowns.
Yes.
A ton. And that's even despite his the interceptions that he throws. Problem is, you throw those interceptions to the Cowboys are going to turn those into points.
That's right.
And that's what's ultimately going to cost Buffalo in that game.
And the other thing is Cowboys aren't playing on grass in Buffalo. Isn't that a turf stadium? I think, aren't they a turf stadium now?
They might be
rubber stadium, I think.
Yeah, it might be a synthetic turf.
Yeah, I think they are synthetic turf. It's not grass like it is in Philly and in San Francisco.
Yeah.
So Dallas is those road wins away games really have hurt Dallas on grass. So I think it was the same thing in Arizona, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know. I have to look that up, but I believe that's the case.
No, Arizona uses synthetic turf.
Do they use synthetic turf on that?
They always have. They were one of the first teams to do it, actually, when they built that stadium.
We've got Bears and Browns, Lions, Cleveland by 3.5 at home.
Yeah, give me Joe Flacco.
I swear.
I can't believe we're saying that.
Buccaneers, Packers, Lions, Green Bay by 3.5 at home. I think tonight tells the tale with that.
And, I do think Green Bay will win that game, but I just don't see how the Buccaneers don't get more out of that offense.
Yeah, I mean, and look at Baker Mayfield, though. He's thrown for almost 3,000 yards, 20 touchdowns, and only 8 interceptions.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Mike Evans is over 1,000 yards and double-digit touchdowns. You know what? I think I've talked myself into this. Give me the Buccaneers on the road in Lambeau in late December.
We got the Texans, the Titans, the Lions, Tennessee by 2 on the road.
If C.J. Stroud can play in this game, I'm taking the Texans.
All right. We've got Jets, Dolphins, Lions, Miami by 11.5.
Yeah, we're definitely going with the Dolphins.
Chiefs, Patriots, Lions, KC by 10.
It should be. We'll see. I mean, stranger things have happened the last couple of weeks, I guess.
We got Giants, Saints. The line is New Orleans by 6.
Yeah, I'll roll with the Saints. Derek Carr's just got to find a way to get the ball in the end zone.
We've got Falcons, Panthers. The line's Atlanta by 3.
Yeah, I mean, the Panthers are garbage. So Bijan Robinson and company should get it done for the Falcons.
We've got Commanders, Rams. The line's Rams by 7.
Yeah, that seems right. Definitely going with the Rams there.
49ers, Cardinals. The line is San Francisco by 13.5.
And it could be 49ers by 1 million. I'd still take it.
Ravens, Jaguars. Line's Baltimore by 3.5.
Trevor Lawrence was a late week
scratch.
No, it was a late week start.
Yeah.
For the Jaguars last week.
Start, not scratch.
He threw 3 touchdowns, but he also threw 3 interceptions. I think he got banged up some more. The Ravens will win this game, but, man, I don't think they're quite as great as the record would have you believe.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And then finally next Monday, we got the Eagles and the Seahawks, and we'll certainly talk more about that on Monday.
Well, Philly should win it.
They should. They really should. All right, it's time to give out some awards.
One second. Before we get started on that, I wanted to look at the standings here. Well, these ads trying to get me. So if you look at the playoff picture right now in the AFC, Baltimore is the number 1. The Dolphins are the 2. Kansas City's the 3. Jacksonville's the 4.
Yeah.
And then your 5, 6, and 7, the wild card teams are Cleveland, Pittsburgh, and Indianapolis. But there's another 4 teams tied with the same record as Pittsburgh and Indy, and that's Houston, Denver, Cincinnati, and Buffalo.
Yes.
So nothing's really decided there. And I find it hard to believe that Pittsburgh is going to make the playoffs.
Oh, I do too, especially now.
They've been winning games, but now it's starting to blow up on them. Denver's playing well. I know Houston didn't play well this last week, and neither did Indy, but they can turn it around because they kind of have soft schedules. But Cincinnati's finding ways to win. Buffalo's turning it around little by little. That'll be interesting to see how that plays out. And if you look at the NFC, so going into last night's game on Sunday Night Football, the Philadelphia Eagles were the number 1 overall seed.
Yes.
Number 1 overall seed. They are now the 5 seed.
Yes.
After that one loss.
That's correct.
So San Francisco is the 1. Dallas is 2. Detroit is the 3. And the 6 and 7 Tampa Bay Buccaneers, by virtue of being the winner in their division, are the 4 seed, which puts Philly at 5, Minnesota at 6, and Green Bay at 7. So if we were playing these games this week, that means Philly goes to Tampa Bay, where they would destroy the Buccaneers.
Oh, yeah. It'd be ugly.
Minnesota would play the Lions, where I believe the Lions would win, but I'm not even super confident in it. And then Green Bay would go to Dallas, where Dallas would win.
Yeah.
All right, so you fast forward into the divisional round. That means that Philly, by virtue of being the lowest remaining seed, would then go to San Francisco.
Yes.
And Dallas would host Detroit.
Yes.
Where Dallas would beat Detroit.